I want to thank Blake and the Mississippi Economic Council for all the help you have given me in my administration the last 8 years. You have been great allies. The business community in Mississippi has been a staunch partner of mine. Big business, small business, in between business, agribusiness, great partners. And if I don't succeed in doing anything else, I want you to know how much I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. Now, so give yourselves a big hand. You know, psychiatrists say that it is really bad to stifle the urge to applaud. It's not bad for y'all, it's bad for me. So I appreciate your perseverance over here. I was going to start off by saying something that has already been said by Blake. Mississippi's making real progress. When I stood up here in front of you 8 years ago as a candidate for governor, I said we don't have to be last. We can do better. And we are doing better. The Fraser Institute in Canada this summer named Mississippi the #1 jurisdiction in the world. Not in the United States, the #1 jurisdiction in the world for doing energy projects. And that is something that's very important. The energy industry is a huge part of Mississippi's comparative advantage. And I look out and see Ed Day and I think about the Kemper County project. I think about Chevron's billions of dollars of investment in the refinery. I think about Keyor, Twin Creeks, Styon. I think about Entergy investing $500 million to increase the output of Grand Gulf by 13%. Or Chevron take the same amount of crude oil and make 10% more gasoline. Denbury Resources, which is coming to Mississippi and use tertiary enhanced oil recovery to increase our recovery. The lignite that's going to be burned in Kemper County. You go on and on into biofuels and other things. We're a huge player in the energy world today because we in Mississippi have seen that we can do better. You know, I ran for re-election 4 years ago on one idea, that we're moving forward together. And as we prepare for these elections, let's don't forget, the progress we make because we can work together. And you as a business community and the MEC and the NFIB and you can go down the list of business organizations are leaders in us all working together. That's one reason that just in the last week, one of the big economic development magazines did a survey of the top site selection consultants in the United States. Mississippi finished 9th overall and in the top 5 in a number of critical categories for being a place that you want to site your new business. Now, that's the kind of progress we can make, and I listen to Phil Bryant. I hear him saying 9th is not as good as it's going to get. We're going to get a lot better than that. We have proven we can do better, and we're doing better. I can't stand here without looking at you and remembering 8 years ago when I talked to you about comprehensive tort reform. We were the worst state in the country for lawsuit abuse, the home of jackpot justice. And we passed in 2004, my first year, what the Wall Street Journal called the most comprehensive tort reform bill that any state had ever passed. And it worked. It worked. Our medical liability insurance premiums have fallen by more than 60% since 2004. They're back to the level they were in 1999. And anybody that thinks you can have the kind of economic development and quality of life you want when you got a crisis in health care, hadn't thought through the issue. Well, we had a crisis in health care, and you made a huge contribution in solving it. Do you know that in the first year after, 1 year after tort reform had been fully in effect, the number of medical liability lawsuits filed against Mississippi doctors dropped by 90% because tort reform worked. But don't get the idea that this is just about doctors and hospitals and health care. I will never forget when the site selection vice president of Toyota wrote a letter in 2004 that said lawsuit abuse is one of the disqualifiers for citing a big plant. That when we consider where Toyota's going to build a plant, we're not going to look at a place that has bad lawsuit abuse. And our legislature responded to that, and I'm proud of them. But Toyota said when they chose Blue Springs, and we'll begin full production this month at Blue Springs, there'll be between the company and suppliers about 4,000 jobs this year, and ultimately there will be 10,000 or more jobs surrounding Toyota and its suppliers. But they said in 2007, the day we announced that the Toyota plant was coming, we would not have considered Mississippi without tort reform. That's just a fact. And you in this room deserve a lot of the credit for it. You also need to understand we've got more to do about lawsuit abuse in Mississippi. And I hope my successor will pick up where I left off and will take the next steps to stop lawsuit abuse in Mississippi, which costs us jobs, hurts our economy, and is a real threat to health care. So give yourselves a pat on the back for what you did on tort reform. I mentioned the pro-business climate here, the ability to bring in energy investment from all over the world, and I mentioned it for a reason. Mississippi doesn't have a great pro-business climate for no reason. It has it because particularly small business and the people that work for small businesses in Mississippi understand that job creation, higher incomes, better pensions, better health care coverage, all require us to have a good business climate with reasonable low taxes, a predictable, rational regulatory regime, and outstanding education and workforce development programs. Those things have to have help from government. You know, government doesn't create jobs. We talk about job creation, but government doesn't create any jobs except government jobs themselves, and we should only have a relative few because you're paying for them. Government doesn't have any money. Only money government's got is the money it takes from you. So it's critical that we have the right number of state employees, school teachers. They are critical to our future. But when we talk about job creation, we're talking about private sector job creation. The people that pay taxes, the people that pull the wagon so that we can be successful in Mississippi. And those people understand full well, if Mississippi has a pro-business government climate, their lives are going to be better. More importantly to them, their children's and grandchildren's futures are going to be better. I go through that because I want to make one final point. You know, my old friend Fred Smith, our fellow Mississippian, the founder and CEO of FedEx, Fred has a saying that I think means a lot. Fred says, the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. We got to keep our eye on the ball. And we've got to keep our eye on the ball of continuing to grow the economy in Mississippi, to create more higher skill, higher paying jobs.